This is Mallard27 bringing you today another video on Soldiers Inc. Today we're going to look at the Nanotech Lab, which is this guy right here. Now we're going to start out on the Info tab, and as you can see we're at 11 of 11 for the level for the lab itself, which means it's currently maxed out. The max nanochip level at a max configuration is 12. Now there's two other tabs. We have the Activate tab and the Combine tab. The Activate tab allows us to activate up to 3 slots, each slot allowing us to put a nanochip in it. As you can see, there are a total of 8 colors, or 8 different types of nanochips that can be used. This means we have to be selective in which slots are to be used. So let's just take a quick gander at the different types of chips we have. So the blue chip is defense, and as you can see, it's defense for soldiers. This covers paratroopers, marines, and ghost snipers. So another great way to tell what is offensive and defensive troops is by looking at the nanochip factory. So if I were to use a blue, or in this case a level 1 blue, we would see that I would get a 1% increase in my defense for these troops. For troops we have commandos, grenadiers, and infantry assault troops. These are offensive troops, and you can see a level 1 chip gives me 1% of offense. Again, level 1. For the lime green, we have the Kaiken drones, we have the Mauler exoframes, and we have the Odachi defender drones. These make up our defensive drones, or mechs. And you can see a level 1 brings 0.8% of defense. For the offensive mechs, we have the Katana drones, we have the Reaper exoframe, and we have the Paladin exoframe. These make up our offensive mechs. As you can see, a level 1 brings 0.8%. For armor, we have the Sakira drones, we have the Annihilators, and we have the Bulava AFVs. You can see that this makes up our defensive tanks, if you will, and a level 1 brings 0.5% influence. For our offensive tanks, we have Wildcats, we have Behemoths, and we have the Apex MBT. These make up our offensive tanks, if you will. And you can see this is a level 2, but it brings 1% influence or 1% extra to your combat in an offensive standpoint. And finally, we have our airplanes, or planes, or whatever you want to call them. But we have Firewolf drones, we have Razor MPFs, and we have the Claves, which are these. This makes up our defensive airplanes, and a level 1 brings 0.5% extra to your defense. And finally, for our offensive airplanes, we have our Titan Verticrafts, our Equalizer bombers, our Orion heavy transports, and our AHX-72 Barracudas. Now, what a lot of people don't realize, or have accepted in the game, is that these Orion heavy transports are considered offensive troops and do contain offensive power. And this together makes up our offensive airplanes for nanochips. And as you can see, again, a level 1 brings 0.5% influence. So let's go over to the Combine tab. At the Combine tab, it allows us to combine a level of the same level. So for instance, I have 67 level 1s here, and if I hit Combine, it will now take 2 of those because, again, it takes 1 nanochip, 2 nanochips to make a level 2. And now I've made, another, level 2. So if we do it again, see how this count went up by 1. Now to make a level 3, I have to combine 2 level 2s. So 37, you can see I don't have a 3 combine, and now we have a 3. So on and so forth. Every time I want to create a level up, I have to use a level previously. Now let's put that into perspective, because I don't think most people realize how many nanochips you need of a certain kind to upgrade. So say, for instance, we're looking at these purple, which is offensive airplanes. How many do we actually need? So I've put together this quick Excel spreadsheet that shows how many we actually need. So if we're looking at a level 2, that requires 2 level 1s, which is, a simple 2. If I want a level 3, that requires 2 level 2s, which is 4 chips total. If I want a nanochip level 12, that requires 2 11 level chips, which is a total of 2048 nanochips. So, with there being 8 different types of nanochips, that would require 2048 times 8, or 16,384 nanochips if I wanted to complete my 8 different types of nanochips and bring them up to level 12s. That's a lot of nanochips, and that's going to take you a long time playing the game to build that up. So looking here, the reason this base has level 11s and not level 12s is because this base needs another 1024 purple to get me a level 11, and then I can combine these 2 level 11s to get a level 12. So what is the value, if it's not clear already, of the Nanochip Lab? It allows you to bring offensive and defensive power in addition to everything else offered on your base and boosts offered that you may contain within your base. So this is another way of bringing power to your base. Now, obviously, we only have 3 slots, and there are 8 of these items in total. So what does that mean? First off, if you're a power player and you have a lot of money to burn, you can pay to get more extractors. And so if you are one of those power players, the way you would play is that you would, if you were going on offense, you would likely put all of these, you do your airplanes, your tanks, and your mechs, you would bring those all up to offensive in these 3 slots. If you were only sending out scouts, you would probably put your offense troop chip into one of the slots. And again, if you're a power player, you're extracting and moving chips into slots every time you're doing a certain activity. If you're running ops, that means every time you're running offensive ops, you're putting these in offensive mode, and when you're running defensive ops, you're putting these in defensive mode. Now, most people playing ops aren't going to use more than airplanes, but if you're using tanks as well, you're going to want to swap out offensive tanks for defensive tanks when running defensive ops. So as you can see, it would be very costly financially to be extracting all the time. So if you're more of a player who's on a budget, you're probably going to want to load these 3 slots with the most likely or the most powerful boosts. So for instance, having defensive airplanes, offensive airplanes, in 2 of the slots allows you to have a lot of power in the 2 most powerful troop areas, and then, put whatever the heck you want in this other slot. But that is the Nanotech Lab. That is how you activate chips. That is how you combine chips. I guess we didn't talk about exactly how to activate, but if you have an open slot, then you can click on the chip you want to activate, and it will say activate here. And again, if it's a nano chip you don't care about, like a 1 or a 2 and a 3, and you're replacing it with something higher, you can simply opt to discard the chip instead of extracting the chip. Extracting the chip saves it, discard destroys it. So I hope this tutorial has been helpful on the Nanotech Lab. I look forward to bringing you more videos on all things Soldiers Inc. Feel free to hit that like button and share with your friends. Thank you for watching and have a great day.